Well, well, well. We've made it to day 50. Oh my god. Can you believe it? 50 days. Unfortunately, not 50 days in a row, as I've made quite clear. But yes, we made it. Welcome, guys. Day 50. 50th day of my live streaming journey slash career. Sorry, guys. I'm just cleaning up a little bit here. I got so much cat hair. So anyways, 50 days almost in a row. We made it, 46 days in a row that we had streamed around 7 to 8 hours every day. And then we took a couple weeks off as we had this wonderful project, thanks to Nikon, to test out their new ZR camera, which is what we'll be covering for the, probably for at least another week or so, as I'm finishing up a few other deliverables as well, related to the ZR as well as a few other things. So anyways, we are going to maximize all of our content, showing off the cool content, the cool footages that I captured with the ZR. But anyways, it is day 50. Hello guys. Hello Nico. You are the first one to message in the chat. So I have already awarded you 300 PPs, the prize pixels, our point system. So yes, welcome. Nico, how's your day going? Yes, it's going very well. It's what did I do today? It's just been the usual. I wake up and then I'm just working on a bunch of things. I make it sound like I don't like it. No, it's been good. It's been good. I've been working on a few of my upcoming workshops. So just as a quick little reminder for you guys, I think if I do !tour or tours, shoot, it might be the wrong one. Is it !tours? Give me a second. I'm going to test. I think it's tours. There we go. Okay. So as a reminder, I have announced a couple trips to Uganda for next year. Now these are a bit pricey, so these are $6,500 per person to join me, and we would be essentially doing the Great Apes tour. So you can join me as I go gorilla trekking, we'll go chimpanzee trekking, we go out into the swamps looking for the shoebill stork, the dinosaur looking animal. So anyways, yeah, you can join me there. I'm putting together a package right now for Japan. So I've got a trip that I'm lining up for beginning February to Hokkaido. I went there earlier this year, and yeah, I would like to take another group out there. So I say unfortunately, but I've been a bit busy, obviously, with this trip to Uganda I just took for the Nikon ZR documentary that I created. So now I'm just trying to catch up on things. So today will be a shorter stream. I think it's only going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours. I'm meeting with a few friends afterwards for dinner, drinks, that kind of stuff. So yes, we're recovering our social life. We'll see. We're trying to salvage a social life, here and there. But yes, thank you, Nico, for asking. Today's going to be a good day. Like I said, unfortunately, it will be a shorter stream. Maybe I'll pop back in later, but yeah. Well done, Eric from Uganda here. Hey, hello, Eric. Thank you very much. I'm assuming you're referring to the video that I released, which is also another plug. So let me go ahead. I've just put in the chat, !promo. It should take you to a link that is of my latest YouTube video. Now, this is the very first video I've ever done that was a documentary style film. It was all shot with the new Nikon ZR. It is a pre-production unit, so you can't say for certain that the final quality will look like what I have, but the assumption is hopefully it should be better, right? When it launches. But anyways, so this is a short film that I made from my quick trip to Uganda. So Eric, thank you again for saying hello. I love Uganda. I think that was my 5th time going to Uganda, and this was a very, very quick trip. I literally only had, I think, like 3 or 4 days tops, including flights and everything. So I only got to shoot with the ZR for a few days, but I made the most of it. I wanted to create my first documentary style film, and this camera is touted as a cinema camera, right? It's meant for filmmakers, professional cinematographers, and so on. Or at least my assumption is that's kind of the boat or the area that the market is trying to capture. So anyways, I took it out there. I really tried to stress test it with this film. So I hope you enjoyed that video. It's only 5 minutes, so feel free to check it out. Let me know what you think. But yes. So now that I'm back, I am back to streaming, and I'm also trying to share a little bit of what does it look like? What was behind the scenes, right? So as we jump into our streams, I'll kind of walk through what it was like shooting with this camera. And then I'm also going to be sharing a lot of the behind the scenes of my next video. I am trying to make a product review video. I got to make it in the next few days. So you're going to see my thought process as I think about like, okay, what are these footages? And now you'll see a lot of the behind the scenes as well. So these are behind the scenes shots of me with the new ZR camera. There was also a small rig that they had lent as well, that goes with the body. I have a few feedback on the small rig as well, but that wasn't like the main focus for me on this trip. And the only reason I had the small rig attached was at times I had to attach my Atomos external monitor onto the camera because I needed to record my screen for this product review, so I can show like, you know, the buttons that I'm hitting, what happens and all that. Otherwise, honestly, this whole time, besides interview shots where I had to use a tripod or a monopod, 95% or more of what I captured was just hand holding, as you're seeing me now. Just holding on to the camera, shooting, and then the only attachment really that I was using is the shotgun mic, which is also, it was also announced with the release of the ZR, or the announcement of the ZR. They also released a new microphone, or announced it. So I got to test both of them at the same time. So anyways, yeah, I'll be kind of focusing my feedback and my review based on my experience with that. So yeah, so we'll be spending some time on our streams going through this in more detail. Eric, you said, yes, I have watched it. It's amazing. I'm here based in Uganda. Next time I should take you for a coffee. I'm a photographer based here. Oh, well, thank you very much. Good to always meet fellow photographers. If you would like to join our Discord, let me just pump this into the chat. ! Discord. So we created a Discord channel when I started getting into live streaming. So Eric, you're just tuning in right now. This is my 50th day of being a live streamer. So not 50 days ago, but you know, about 2 months ago, I decided if I'm not traveling and I have to go through all the footages from all of my trips around the world that I've been fortunate to be on in the past couple years, why not turn on the camera, get a microphone, and then show people what I work on. And so we've been using these live streams as a way to let people see what it's like to create these videos. And I am not a professional by any means. I'm a very aspiring filmmaker. I've been doing videography for the past couple years, but primarily I was into photography beforehand. And so I just like sharing the entire process. So the Discord channel, this is a way to, I'm slowly building up a community of fellow photographers, creators, artists, or just enthusiasts or travelers. It doesn't matter. People that can support each other when it comes to our creative journeys. So yes, feel free to join that Discord. Also, it will let you know when I go live. I do plan to go live every day, as I've been doing in the past since I started. Usually I try to do longer streams, but like I said, for the next week or so, I'm going to have to limit the stream times just to catch up on a few other things. Nico, you said, you asked, did you buy the camera or did Sony give it to you as a sponsor? So just to clarify, Nico, unless you had a typo there, this is not a Sony camera. This is a Nikon camera, Nikon ZR. I'm trying to pronounce it like the way they say it, but yeah, it's a Nikon ZR. No, they lent it to me, so I don't actually have access to the camera right now. Although I'm going to see, hopefully I can, I want to add this to my arsenal because I do have a good relationship with them. So yes, I believe I should be able to shoot with the ZR going forward. But no, this was a pre-production unit that they lent to me for the trip so that I could test it out, see how it is. So unfortunately, I don't have it with me right now, but we'll see about it in the future. But yes, is it a camera that I would buy? Absolutely. And that is definitely going to be my honest opinion that I do feel like this is a camera that, especially for the price point, I believe they are marketing it at $2,200. It is significantly cheaper than a lot of the other cinematic cameras out there. Now, the arguments you'll hear oftentimes is that like the Sony FX3 or some of those other ones I'll keep hearing about, they're much more expensive, but they have a lot more features, let's say, that, you know, justifies it. And I don't deny it. I don't doubt it. I just don't have much experience with them. I'm very new to this kind of cinematic line and cinema cameras and cinematography. But I will say the biggest shocker, I think, to most people was the fact that they're putting in so many pro cinema features into a very, very budget-friendly body. So I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, so anyways, I'm going to be making my product review kind of boiling that down from the lens of myself being someone who's not a professional filmmaker, but someone who wants to be, and showing my journey as I went from photography to like doing short form Instagram reels to then starting a YouTube channel a year ago to now trying to go from like doing diary vlogs to more like an actual thematic story, cinema storytelling. So Eric, you said thank you, going to join the Discord. Absolutely, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, and by doing so, you, like I said, once I go live, it will let you know every time I go live, so feel free to then hop in and say hello. Nico, you said yes, sorry, I was thinking about my camera while writing. No worries, man, no worries. Listen, you can't go, I keep saying this, but you can't go wrong with any of the big brands, right? Sony, Canon, Nikon, Leica, whatever brands are out there. So yeah, anyways, we're gonna, let's see, right now it's about 4:40 p.m. my time. I have to catch up with some friends roughly in about 2 hours, roughly 2 hours from now. So actually, let me set a timer. I need an alarm so I don't end up accidentally skipping. 1 second. Alarm. What time is it? Okay, so 4:40 p.m. Let's set an alarm for 6. Yeah, we'll just do like 2 of these. Cool. I'm one of those that I have an alarm for like every minute of every waking hour of the day. So, and I'm the type who sets like 15 alarms to wake me up. So, anyways, okay. So we're gonna have some fun today. It is day 50. I wish I could do a long stream today, but my schedule doesn't allow for it. But thank you guys for being here. We're going to have fun, and yeah, I also need to make a YouTube video about my first 30 days of live streaming. Maybe I'll have to do like a first 30 days, then it'll be like the first 50 days, and then so on and so forth. But I actually don't mind doing that because I do feel like I've been constantly learning throughout these streams. So if I can share that knowledge or make it a bit more palatable for people to kind of have a quick summary of the things that we covered throughout the streams, I'm happy to do that. But yes, Eric, hopefully when I'm in Uganda next, right now I am planning a trip for April of next year, but it is going to be pretty jam-packed. Assuming everything goes through smoothly, I need to start advertising and getting people to join me and all that fun stuff. I think we have potentially 3 people who've already signed up, but until the money's in your pocket in the bank account, you never know. Plans can always change. But yes, we're looking forward to that. I just got to spend a lot of time to start advertising. Okay, in the meantime, where are my cats? Okay, one of my cats is here. Yes. Let me adjust this little camera. Oh, wait, no. I think I need to adjust where he's positioned. So say hello to Kimpop. Kimpop over here. Let me move this guy. Good boy. There you go. What a good boy. All right. So there's Kimpop, and then Nala is hiding somewhere. We did make a few changes to the stream setup. By few, I mean I just made one change for now. You'll see that there's a little... one thing I need to do is... Yeah, there's a few things we need to continue adjusting. One is, I think I need to maybe reduce my key light here, because it's nice and shiny bouncing off my beautiful forehead. So we'll have to make some adjustments there. And then behind me, I had this lamp from a while ago, and it's one of those kind of RGB lamps, so it's not like a really powerful lamp, but I figure until I fix the light that I'm using here, the fill light here for the bookshelf, which is very warm, but I need to like block it so it doesn't hit my face, and then also I need to block some of that light from spilling over onto the wall, because then it creates that like purple, it's creating that kind of purple hue as it mixes with the blue. So until I get those things fixed, I figure I'll just add in another blue light just to keep making the wall behind me a bit more blue. But yeah, we'll get all of that sorted out. Now, one thing I might see is I might put that blue lamp in my bedroom, because then usually when I start streaming, it could be roughly around this time. So right now it's about 4 to 5 p.m. my time. And then we stream all the way until the wee hours of close to midnight usually is what we used to do. And when I do that, obviously the light, the sunlight you see in my bedroom disappears. So then maybe if we add this blue light in the, in the bedroom, it could be a cool effect. I don't know. Anyways, those are just some quick things we're going to keep doing as we keep adjusting the setup. And as I said, once I got back from the 2 weeks trip, I did adjust the camera, so now we are more like in an eye level view versus before it was higher up. And the higher up view was kind of cool because then it gives you a more full frame, or like a full wide angle view of where I'm shooting from, my room, my place. And also you can see my cats a bit easier. But this is a bit more like professional and cinematic looking. So yeah, these are some of the choices we've made. Eric, he said that will be awesome. I'm based here anytime you'll come. We'll be all right. How has the YouTube journey been? I would love to join, but I keep getting scared. Maybe I'll start slowly. Yeah, listen, there's so many good... You'll see advice like this all the time. But essentially, I think... What's the one that most people talk about? Perfection is the enemy of progress? I don't know. Is that what they say? Here, let me ask ChatGPT. Amber, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Let's dive right in.
Okay. Can you tell me, I believe there's some kind of popular quote about how perfection is the enemy of progress? Or do you know what that quote is?
Absolutely. You're thinking of the classic quote that goes something like, perfect is the enemy of good. It's often attributed to Voltaire, and the idea is basically that if you're always chasing perfection, you might never actually get things done or make real progress. So,
okay, perfect is the enemy of good, but I kind of don't like that one, because then that feels more like a moral statement, like with good and evil, let's say. But yeah, generally speaking, the way I think of it is like perfection is the enemy of progress. And that's my biggest, I don't want to say weakness, but it does lend itself to, it's like a double-edged sword. So I am very much a perfectionist. So Eric, you might be having the same kind of thoughts as I definitely had, where it's like before I start any project, I feel like, or before I complete a project, or even before I want to start it, I feel like I have to think through every step. I have to be like, okay, this has to be done properly. I have to have, if there's like 15 steps, I got to get all 15 prepared. Whereas other people have the attitude of, let me just go through the first step and then we'll discover the other steps as we go, but at least I've started. And I think there's something really great about that approach because, Eric, I think you should just start. Honestly, you should just create your first YouTube video. Don't worry about, judging, like who's going to watch it. Maybe nobody watches it. Who cares? It's just the fact of you trying and putting a video out there at like, it could literally be any video. It could just be a YouTube short. It could just be like almost like an Instagram reel. Then you can try just doing like, oh, here's a 30-second video that I captured of this. Or here's me editing one of my photos. It could just be you talking to a camera, just being like, hey, I want to start doing YouTube. So here's me talking into a camera now just to get myself comfortable. And that's it. Like just by doing it, you learn a lot about everything from like, oh, this is how you upload a video, which sounds pretty basic, but honestly, like on YouTube, it is a bit intimidating. There's like all these steps you got to do before you publish a video. So just by doing something, it will teach you all the little minutia of, granular steps. And it's just like going to the gym, right? Like the first time if you're going to the gym for the first time, you're like, oh my God, how do I do, I don't know, like, how do I do a squat? And there's like all these things about like, it's not like you just take a bar and then you just do a squat, right? It's like, no, you got to learn everything from how do you put the weights onto the barbell properly? What's the proper hand positioning? How deep do you go? Like, what do you do with your back? There's like all these granular details that you need to discover first. And the only way to learn it is just by doing it. And you're going to be shit at it in the beginning, but then the more you do it, eventually you'll be excellent and nobody cared or paid attention when you're starting off. So Nico, he said, I sold my lens today and I have 500 euros. What full frame lens do you think I should buy for Sony? Ooh, I don't know much about Sony, I gotta say. But I know a lot of people talk about, is it the 16 to 35? Is that like is that the kind of lens? Sony 16 to 35 millimeter lens, f2.8. I'm assuming this is gonna be way more than 500 bucks though. Yeah, so this is like what, $2,000 at least, maybe. 16 to 35. Yeah, so a little bit more than the 500 euros you mentioned, but this is like a lens that I would like to have, is a 16-35. I'm hoping Nikon will release something like this in the future. Because I think it's a perfect range for my wide angle shots of like if I have to do selfies or with wildlife. And then 35, again, if you see from the video that we made of the documentary, this whole beginning, let me share my screen here. This whole beginning with the chimp shot, this was shot with a 35mm f1.2. And then I attached, or no, sorry, it was a 35mm f1.2, and then I was shooting at f2. So, and I became a big fan. Obviously, after I got this shot in, I was like, yo, because the 35 was a perfect range, like that focal length where you're getting a decent wide angle, but it's not so wide that the subject becomes lost in a sea of the background, right? Like here, you still get like a pretty nice separation. You get the animal, in this case, like taking up a lot of the screen, but then you still have enough space to really capture the environment that the subject is in. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't had much practice with the 35, but I kind of want to test it more and more. But having said that, when it comes to doing like the selfie shots or things like that, for instance, this lens right now is a 20mm, and so it gives me a really nice wide angle. But then when I'm traveling, I can also just hold the camera, and I'll always have myself in frame. So to have that range of, let's say, 16 all the way to 35, that's perfect. But yeah, but with 500 euros, I mean, it sounds like that's a decent price to get like a nice prime lens. Maybe like a would like an 85 or a 50mm be within that range? I don't know. Let's see. Sony 50mm f 1.8. Or let's see. What about 1.4? Okay, yeah. Oh wait, no, that's a okay. So the f 1.4 is over 1,000, but even at that f 1.8, that's pretty decent. So, yeah. Now here's a lens I want to. As I'm learning more about filmmaking, I need to look into anamorphic lenses. Now I don't think that this new ZR is designed for like anamorphic stuff. From the brief amount of reviews I was watching. But I don't really know much about anamorphic. I know like it's a different style. It gives you more compressed, like a super wide angle kind of a look. But yeah, anyways. How close were you though to the chimps? I can't really say, but I mean, we were able to get some pretty decent shots with the cameras that we were using and everything. But yeah, this one was like 35. I ended up never using the 20mm, so 35 was the widest that I used for the chimp shots. And then it was mainly a mixture of mostly I was shooting with the 400mm 4.5 aperture, and then an 85 1.2. 85 1.2 has become, I want to make a video on this, like a very, very quick video, because I think most times people think of an 85mm f1.2 lens, or just 85mm, as like a portrait lens, right? That's like what you're supposed to shoot for like models and portrait photography, for good reason, because you get that nice compression and everything else. But I found that it was actually really nice for wildlife. It's not like the perfect distance, but like for the kinds of stuff that I do, especially when I go on a gorilla trek or a chimpanzee trek, those kind of things, the 85 ended up not only being a decent focal length, where if the animal gets pretty close to you, you can still have a decent chance of getting the animal inside the frame, whether it's a nice close-up of the face or maybe the full body. But then also, at the f1.2, my God, it's amazing low light, right? Because then in these in these forest environments, oftentimes the sun is completely blocked off by the canopy. So then you're going to be shooting in very, very dark situations. So to have that f1.2, it makes a huge difference. So yeah. Anyways, but yes, congrats on selling that lens. That's great. The 500 euros. I mean, the other thing I would say is you can also save it for, instead of buying a new lens, maybe use the 500 euros for memory cards, right? That's always you can never have too many memory cards, or, like a portable SSD. Or, of course, you can donate all of the 500 euros to your favorite streamer. Let's say if it happens to be someone you're watching right now, then that 500 euros could also go into my pocket. So never not consider that. But joking aside, you said, so yeah, I would say like a lens is good, but I think 500 euros is a decent amount to use for like other things, like maybe like a subscription to some software program, depending on like what kind of direction you're trying to go, obviously. So for me, like for instance, if I had extra $500 right now, what would I get? One, I need some lighting equipment stuff. That's probably the main thing I'd do first. You found a 24 to 200 f2.8 to 5.6 for 650 euros on the marketplace. Nice. You know, another thing I will say. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking because like I feel like maybe I've changed things up a little bit over time. So in the beginning of when I started doing photography, especially traveling a lot, as I started traveling a lot more, to me, I ended up just wanting to shoot with as minimal lenses as possible. So I found that shooting with the 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8, the 70 to 200 millimeter f2.8, and really that was it. Those two lenses ended up becoming my go-to lenses when I traveled, to the point where I wouldn't even bring any other lenses. In my early, you know, I say early, but like in the first like 3 to 4 years of me traveling and doing photography, I just found, especially for photography, like for traveling, having to spend the time to switch out lenses when you're outside and you know, dust can get into your sensors, or like just there's so much chaos going around. So anytime you're spending updating or switching out lenses, it's like you're missing out opportunities or shots, especially with wildlife and stuff. So what I ended up doing is I have two camera bodies. One of them would have a 24-70, the other would have the 70-200, and then that way I would never miss a moment. I used to even like a dual strap, and now I usually do a sling bag on one side. Actually, I think I can show you a footage of that. Where am I? We'll go through some of this. I have some of these set up now so we can walk through a lot of the footages. Okay, well, I'll find you one of the shots of like what does it look like usually when I'm traveling and filming. Because it's usually this, but I got a sling bag where I'll have my second camera body. But I honestly feel like those two lenses are the best ones. And then maybe you get like a couple prime lenses. Maybe you want like at a wide angle, like a 20 millimeter f1.8 has been pretty decent for me. Or you're trying to get like a, you know, something higher, like a 135 1.8 or a 85 1.2 or a 400, you know, for like a prime lens. Thinking of the ZR, which format did you shoot in and how big were the files? H.265 10-bit or you shot red codec? I shot everything in red codec. In hindsight, maybe I should have shot a few things in H.265 just to do a comparison. But really for me, I just wanted to, my focus, while I am doing a product review, my focus was really just making sure I have the best quality short documentary film I can make. So the kind of product review related stuff came a bit secondary to just making sure I got the shots as needed. And I only had like 2 to 3 days to shoot, like film everything. So it wasn't enough time for me to actually dedicate and test every feature of the camera properly. Because the files on my Z6 III are overwhelmingly big whenever I shoot 4K H.265 10-bit N-Log. Yeah, so I shoot, even with my Z6 III, I have a crazy number of 1 terabyte memory cards. Some of these I got from former projects where, you know, I was able to expense a bunch of them, so that was nice. But yeah, those 1 terabyte cards are necessary if you're going to shoot in these larger formats. So like in the RAW formats, let's say. So it's not for everyone, for sure, because of the file size. But I would say, Eric, the best thing is to shoot in, or if you're comfortable shooting in NRAW, NRAW is great because it's from my field test, I found that NRAW file sizes are 1/3 the size of shooting in Apple ProRes RAW HQ, where literally that means I can film 3 times as much as if I try to shoot at the Apple ProRes. And it's a 12-bit codec, or 12-bit color bit depth or whatever, so you're getting really good resolution. And that's, if you watch any of my travel vlogs prior to this video I just made, they were all shot in NRAW 4K usually. Yeah, there's no way around it. The sizes are large. Yo, KG Photography. Hello. It's been a long time. KG, how are you doing? I think it was like a couple days ago, Lucky was in the chat. And it was my first day back after I took a couple weeks off because I had this really cool project that I worked on, which is what I'm going to be going through here on our short stream today, which is I got my hands on the new Nikon ZR. And so I was reached out to by the regional office out here, and I was very fortunate. Obviously, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, but they basically asked if I would be willing to test out their new camera. So I took it with me for a few days on a trip to Uganda, and we went to this island. It's literally a chimpanzee island. So I got to film for a few days, test out the camera, and then I turned it into a short documentary film. So let me go ahead and promote myself again. Exclamation mark promo. It's a 5-minute short film that I made using the new Nikon ZR. So feel free to check it out. But anyways, KG, welcome. You know, yeah, you and Lucky disappeared, and I was like, oh no, where did you guys go? And I was laughing, I was joking about it because the day before I didn't hear from you guys for I feel like it's been a couple weeks or the last few weeks of when I was streaming. It was right after Lucky had gambled away all of his precious prize pixel points, and literally he was in the running. He was like at the top, right? And then I think he gambled it all away, and he ended up with 0 PPs. So then I was joking that maybe he couldn't show his face around here anymore after now that he has no PP. But yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well. It's been quite some time. I'm good. KG said it's my first time back too. Oh, nice. I started a new job. So I've been a little MIA working and still doing sessions. Oh, well, congrats on the new job. And yeah, I can imagine, I mean, it's a full-time gig, right? Like when it comes to managing jobs and everything else that comes with it, it's not like, oh yeah, even if you have a part-time job, I feel like it takes up a full-time, especially if it's a new job. So completely understand. Obviously, you know, it wasn't like saying, hey, how dare you not be here? It was more of a, hopefully you guys are doing okay and, you know, life is good. But yeah, so KG, just to catch you up real quick, we ended up streaming 46 days in a row. So we didn't miss a beat for 46 straight days. Unfortunately, we couldn't hit the magical 50, which is, by the way, today is day 50. We couldn't do 50 days in a row because I had to take 2 weeks off for the trip that I'm talking about right now. So I'm not complaining, but obviously I was able to then spend the past couple weeks filming. So I traveled to Uganda, filmed, and then I need to spend a lot of time at home just putting the actual final piece together. So yeah. So the past couple weeks I haven't streamed, and then, 2 days ago I started streaming again, so here we are, day 50. And we're going to continue streaming. Now, the streams are going to be shorter, so even today I'm probably going to have to end in about an hour and a half or so. So very, very short streams because I have to catch up since I was gone for 2 weeks on the rest of life stuff. Life stuff never like pauses just because you're paused or you're doing something. It is what it is. But yes, good to have you back here, and yes, good luck on the job. Hopefully it's not too crazy for you, and hopefully you'll be able to start balancing out some streams as well. Nico, you said recently I bought an SD card, 1 terabyte. Hells yes, that's at some point it's kind of crazy to think that we're gonna start using like 2 terabyte memory cards and everything else. I was going to use it on my brother's concert, which was yesterday, and while I was taking photos, the SD broke and it couldn't identify the files. Yo, that's sad. I'm sad on your behalf. And that is one of the drawbacks of this new ZR camera, is that I don't believe there's an ability to have like redundancy, because it's only got 1 memory slot for the CF Express Type B card, which is great, but then it's got a micro SD, which is weird because like I was like, what? I didn't even know that people still use micro SDs except for like action cameras. I believe you can still get a pretty fast micro SD, but I don't think if I'm filming the way I film, which is in these in the red codec, the red NE codec, you know, 12-bit and all that, I don't believe I can do a redundancy to the micro SD. But that is a big fear for all of us as photographers, videographers, that like something will happen, the thing will get corrupt and you lose everything. So I'm sorry to hear that, Nico. Hopefully you can get your money back for that. Jesus, if you just bought it and it's breaking on the first time or whatever, that's not good. KG said, oh my gosh, LO, he still shows his PP-less face to me. Yeah, as his wife, I don't know, I can only imagine how you must feel. Awesome, he said. Christian Tesaro, hello, hi from Italy. Do you know of a website where I can download sample clips, not Nikon ones, from the ZR so I can try them out? Interesting. I was not briefed on that. I never even thought to ask about that. Because like obviously I have my files, but I also don't know. So Christian, First of all, welcome, Christian. Thank you for being here. Oh, and thank you very much for following me. Hells yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for following me on Twitch and for being there on the YouTube side. I appreciate it. We are fairly new to streaming. This is our second month of multi-streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. So anyone who subscribes or who donates or who follows or leaves comments or just watches, I appreciate all of that. So thank you very much, Christian. Okay, so I don't know, actually, Christian, if you can get access to any of the files, because one of the things that was stressed to myself and then just in general is that none of these files are the production quality files. This was shot with a pre-production unit. So, you know, there's a lot of things where they don't want to put their name necessarily behind the pre-production units because, like, you know, you can imagine what you see is not what you'll get with the final launch. Once they launch the camera out and it's out in the world, the quality will be probably a lot different. They're probably making tweaks. The pre-production might have had a lot of firmware bugs and other issues with it. So I don't necessarily know if you are going to be able to get access to any of the pre-launch files. Once they launch it, I'm assuming at that point maybe that could be accessible. And actually, Christian, I'm glad you asked that, because maybe that's giving me some ideas as well, that possibly what I should do is once the camera's launched and once I'm able to get some additional footages with like the actual unit, then I would like to maybe put some of those out there for free as I make more YouTube videos so that you can access it. So yes, that's a really good question. And you know what? Maybe I should also do something based on I have like a Patreon concept. It's called Ko-Fi. I just learned about it recently. If I type in !Ko-Fi, does this work? Let's see if it works. We're so new to streaming, I keep forgetting all the commands. Did it work? Maybe it didn't. But basically, there was supposed to be something that pops up that lets you go to my quote-unquote like Patreon page. Actually, I forgot all the commands. What is it? !Commands? Let's see. Oh, it is Ko-Fi. Okay, I don't know why that didn't work. Oh, it's just, I think everything's a bit delayed right now on my side. Anyways, yeah, I might make it a thing where if you are someone who subscribes to me, kind of like in the Patreon model, then I should, as part of my thank you, I would then give you access to a lot of my raw files from some of my trips, whether it's photo files as well as the video files and stuff like that. But thank you for the question. Thank you for subscribing. And it's always nice to meet people all around the world. So I am based in Dubai, but I'm originally from the US. I don't believe I've met anyone from Italy yet in the chat, but we've had a number of people all around the world. So yes, welcome from Italy. KG, you said the kitty. Yes, KG, it's been a while since you've been here. One of the things I changed was, one, obviously the format of this. So we've also dropped the camera down to more like eye level because I need to start making some YouTube videos. So we're going to talk like this. We're changing up the lighting situations here and there. And then also, we still have the cat camera. That hasn't changed. Oh, okay, I was going to disturb him, but he looks too adorable over there that, you know what, we'll leave him be for a little bit. But yes, now when I'm in editing mode, you always have a permanent view of my cat just above me. So yes. Eric, you said how I wish they would also write on a hard drive simultaneously as the card. Interesting. I never thought of doing that. Usually the way I shoot, and you'll see it in the footages, I have it all lined up here because I'm going to start working through the edits. But one thing you'll notice is that I usually shoot very, very light and compact. So I try not, it's just not like something I'm as comfortable with anyways, but usually I just like to handhold whatever I'm using. I might have an extra sling bag and that's about it. So let me see if I can show quickly. Yeah, so here's an example, right? This is the behind the scenes of some of the coolest shots that I took, right? And so this is like the behind the scenes. Let's see if we can show it from here. Christian, you said, yeah, I always prefer to get my hands on the clips to understand the workability of a file, so I was curious. Yeah, like, again, this one, it's not even compatible with, like, any of the large softwares because it's not been launched yet. So there's, like, some workarounds I had to do just to even access these files properly. KG, you said, I work with cats and dogs all day now. Yo, what a... That's not a job, then. That's not work. That's just living life. I like the old-timey feel to the film. Yes, we did a bit of like... Oh, yeah, KG. There's been a lot of changes. We also got reached out... There's a company called Dehancer that reached out to me. and asked if I'd be willing to test out their product and then leave an honest review. And as part of that, they gave me access to like test it out for at least a month or so, and then there's an affiliate link and all that. So we had a lot of fun right before I had to take a break, testing out dehancer. And actually in the video, in my latest video, I'm going to promote myself yet again. This is like 3 times in the past 10 minutes. But if you watch this video, the 5-minute short documentary film that I made with the new Nikon ZR, you'll see it at different points. When you see moments where it looks very like dreamlike, or there's a lot of graininess and noise and like very old school film vintage style, I was using dehancer to create those nice like visual effects. So I actually did use it in the latest film. So yeah. Anyways, that LCD is awesome. Yes, Christian, that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about in my product review, is the fact that this is a 4-inch freaking monitor. And I honestly, I get lost when it comes to all the technical details. It's something crazy, like 3 point something million pixel this or that with like some amount of nits and things. I need to put a disclaimer everywhere that I am not a professional filmmaker or a cinematographer or professional videographer and anything. I'm a very much like a self-taught person, and I got into videography just a couple years ago. And yeah, it's just been something where I've been practicing to learn, or I learned through practice and shooting, but I don't know a lot of the technical details. We're just learning over time. So anything I say, take it with a grain of salt. If you ever hear me talking about things as if like I'm an expert, let me know, because call me out on that, because I definitely am the farthest thing from it. I just have experience. That's it. So even the way I'm going to be approaching this product review is very much from the lens of like, I'm also color me shocked that Nikon reached out to me to test this out, because it's not like I have a massive YouTube following or like I'm like a moderate size Instagram shooter. I have an excellent relationship with Nikon in the region, but it's like, why would you want my opinion on this new product compared to like any number of the massive people out there? But I think I'm going to give my theory as to why. And I do really feel that this camera was designed for someone like me. So we'll get into that shortly. Let me play some of this out. So this footage, I'll show you guys. I put a little bit of this into the short film, but oh my God, it was such a cool shot. Around, golden hour, slow motion. Yeah, anyways. Christian, you said, yo, dehancer is very, very powerful. I followed you on Instagram a few minutes ago, and if you want, I have some stories on my profile where I colored the ZR clips provided by Nikon using dehancer. Take a look, maybe? Yes, please. Christian, if you can join my Discord, let me just put in my little promo for Discord as well. If you can join my Discord community, and if you don't mind putting in, like, feel free to promote your Instagram page, things like that. Ooh. What just happened? Oh, thank you very much, Christian. Oh, yes. Thank you for the double follow. Thank you for subscribing on the YouTube side. I very much appreciate it. YouTube is the name of the game for me. That is where we're trying to build up our channel the most, as well as now that we're doing live streaming on Twitch and Kick. So, but yes, if you don't mind sharing it over there, that'd be great. And then I can check it out after the stream or as I have some time. And yes, dehancer, I've been really, really loving it. And if anyone is interested in dehancer, I'm now doing another command. Jesus Christ, I'm just like putting a bunch of links in here. I apologize, guys, but I'm not really apologizing, because it's, this is a 10% off promo code if you would like to test or try out dehancer. And it basically does all the film emulation. It works for photos as well. So it's like, it's designed for Lightroom, Photoshop, all of the big softwares. But obviously for me, I was focusing on the video side of things. So it creates the film effect. So that kind of vintage style with the halation and the blooms, or like the different kind of qualities that you think about when it comes to film. So, KG, you said just watched, love the video. Thank you very much, KG. Make sure to leave a comment if you're watching that video. It's only 5 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what's your favorite parts, or just let me know your thoughts. Even if it's criticisms or anything like that, do tell me. I welcome all the engagement, of course. But thank you for watching it. Thank you for your kind words there. Eric, you said, wow, your hands much steady. My handheld shots have always been like earthquakes. And how can one be an ambassador and get to review the new cameras and everything? Well, firstly, thank you very much. I have been told, you know what? I'm going to accept it. I didn't know, but I've been told, even with the person who was traveling with me, she captured a lot of the behind the scenes. She's a representative from Nikon. So, she's the one who brought over the camera because they didn't trust me to travel with it, whatever. Even she told me, like, yo, you are so steady with your hand holding. And so you'll see when you see the actual film, it's not always steady. Oftentimes it is shaky, right? But I guess compared to other people, maybe I'm a bit steadier, so that's good. But also, I was cheating a little bit here, Eric, so I can't take all the credit. I was using my sling bag, so let's see if I can actually show a little bit more what it looked like. But you can see I was crouched on the ground, and then I was using my Peak Design sling bag to kind of rest my arm to kind of make it as still as possible. Now, it did still require that I had to like be as stable as possible, but it did help quite a bit. So it was almost like doing an amateur monopod style. But yes, thank you very much. Now, this camera, it does tout, I think it's like 7.5, do you call it stops? Or I don't know, 7.5 IBIS stabilization, which is like pretty decent. My understanding is like kind of middle of the boat type thing. And then for me though, if I had to just, I don't work in technicals, it's just because that's not my language, but I like to at least show from my footage. So again, this whole shot that I shared in the beginning of the clip, this was handheld, walking backwards with the camera. And the shot turned out pretty steady, right? Obviously I applied the software stabilization within DaVinci and all that. But to get this kind of quality, I mean, listen, people can talk numbers and say like, oh, it's a 6.5 this or IBIS is that or not. In the field, that's all I care about. And in the field, do I feel like this camera will allow me to capture the kind of shots I'm normally used to? And the answer is absolutely. It's allowed me to get these kind of moments without worrying about, holy shit, I was so shaky, none of it is usable. No, we were able to use the entirety of these shots with very little cropping from what I was filming. So yes, I do stand by that. You're feeling linky today. Yes, we're in link mode, okay? But yeah, it's a short stream, so I got to condense all of my promos as much as possible here. Christian, you said thanks. I've posted the photos on Discord. Okay, awesome. I'm going to check it out in a bit. But thank you very much for doing that. And oh yeah, sorry, Eric, you had another question. How can one be an ambassador or get to review new cameras? I don't have an answer for that. This was literally just from years of me being in Dubai and consistently, shooting with Nikon gear. And then over time, eventually, I got invited to some event, and then it turned into more conversations with people in the front office or the back office. And then, yeah, it literally was just a very, very long process of me traveling and shooting with Nikon camera gear, and then eventually getting invited to some events, and then ultimately now being one of their creators, where, yeah, like it just took a long time. I do a number of workshops for them where I teach a little bit of like my experiences and on how I went from still photography to videography. Hello, Light NY. Light NY. I don't know if I've recognized your name before. So if you're new to the stream, well, thank you very much for being here. Welcome, and thank you for leaving your comments. You're asking, what's your impression of this laptop's pricing versus its competitors? Oh, I think that was a typo. Are you talking about this camera's pricing, the new Nikon ZR? I think that's the easiest question for me to respond to, by the way, because from everything I've read, just like anyone's reviews, you'll notice that the best thing going for it is the fact, well, I mean, there's a lot of things, but it's the fact that it's priced so low. It's priced at $2,200, and when you compare it to a lot of these cinema cameras, now granted, some of the cinema cameras have a lot more features to it, but they're oftentimes priced at like $3,000 to $4,000. Even the one that just got announced by Canon, I think it's called the C50 or something like that. I think they're pricing it at like $4,000 or so. So for you to end up with a cinema camera at $2,200, and it gives you a lot of these amazing features. One, it gives you, for the first time, we're getting a color science. We're getting this red codec, right? So we're getting the quality that people who shoot with red cameras, which is known to be like the professional filmmaking cameras, right? Like a lot of Hollywood movies are produced with red cameras. So you're getting the red codec built into this Nikon camera. You're getting up to 6K 60 frames per second, or you can also get 4K 120 frames per second in that raw recording with a slight crop. So it's like a Z6 III. I'm pretty sure it has the exact same Z6 III partially stacked sensor, 24 or 24 megapixel. So you can shoot 4K 120 frames per second at a slight APS-C crop, which has worked perfectly fine for me. You are getting this built-in 32-bit float audio, right? Which is, I think, I'm not sure other cameras who do this. I think I've heard Panasonic has something that's like that, but you don't really see this anywhere, right? So the fact that within this camera, you literally have 32-bit float built in, which means that for someone like me, when I do run and gun style shooting, when you have chimpanzees screeching at you out of nowhere, you never have to worry about the audio clipping. And I have examples of that, which I'll be showing, and then we'll talk through them. Yeah, so I have some good examples to show you on that. Then also, it's got that crazy 4-inch monitor screen, which is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, out there in terms of this kind of cinema cameras. So that means you don't need to purchase like an external monitor. You don't need an external monitor. You don't technically need a shotgun microphone that's massive and wired up or anything. Like, I think they designed this in a way that it feels like you just need this one camera and your lens, and you should be able to start creating professional film. That's kind of like the way I feel like it's advertising. So I think at the price of $2,200, hells yeah, I think it's very, very competitive. F Mead, yo Bell, hi guys, hello F Mead, thanks for being here. Welcome to the 50th day of me live streaming. What a crazy world we're in. But yes, welcome back, F Mead. We are doing a shorter stream today because I have to. I'm catching up. Not I have to. I'm catching up with a few friends. Someone's in town, so we're gonna grab some drinks later tonight. So very excited. I'm being a social person again for a little bit, so I'll have to remember what it's like to talk to people in person. Wish me luck. So, but yeah, while we're here, I'm going to be streaming for the next about an hour or so. And so I'm just welcoming people in, and I'm here to answer questions. So it's been fun. Thank you guys for asking questions about the ZR or just in general about things. I'm very happy to share whatever I'm able to. And also, I'm going to be showing you guys some of the footages from this trip that I went on where I got to shoot with the ZR. So there's a bunch of behind the scenes that I've kind of loaded up because I need to start putting this together for our product review. So let's kind of see. This is what it looks like, by the way. You're getting a nice behind the scenes of like, what does it look like to be me when I'm shooting? Oftentimes I am shooting like this, where you'll see that I have my big ass backpack, right? So this is what is this backpack? It's the Gitzo 45-liter bag, I think. So it's a massive bag in the sense that it's a carry-on bag, but I can fit a 400mm lens inside of this with the camera attached to it. So that's a really awesome camera for me. And then I usually, in front of me, off to the side, I have my Peak Design sling bag, which can fit like my second camera, extra lenses, my laptop, things like that. Oh yeah, on this trip, I destroyed my laptop. So I accidentally spilled ginger ale all over the top, like the keyboard section of my laptop. So not nice, not good. So right now the laptop is in the Apple Store. Thankfully, listen, don't listen to those people who tell you, oh, you should never buy those like extra warranties or those insurance policies. Don't listen to them, okay? Listen to me now. Hey, Cine Workshop, thank you very much for subscribing. With a name like Cine Workshop, I can only imagine you are a cinematographer. So I'm going to tell you right now, well, firstly, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. I will tell you now, I am a faux cinematographer. We are an aspiring filmmaker, so anytime I say things that sound technical, do take it with a grain of salt. I'm learning as I go. But thank you very much for following. Hopefully this means you're following because you watched my latest short film. And if you did, I hope you enjoyed it. It was all shot with the Nikon ZR, and that's what I'm showing right now is some of the behind the scenes shots that were taken of me while I was filming with it. And I'm working on a product review. So I like to use these streams to also share with you guys everything. I love sharing the process of making, the process of creating. And so even when it comes to creating this product review, I'll be using these streams to actually talk through like, okay, here's my script, here's what I'm thinking about, here are the shots that we're going to use, here's how I'm going to edit it, here's the soundtracks we're going to use, all of that. Now, the audio you're going to hear from here, this is not shot with the ZR. This is from, I believe it was shot with the Z8. So don't take any of this to be shots from the ZR. I'm filming with the ZR in front of me. But you can see I was testing it out. And other things to keep in mind, this was a pre-production unit, so it is not necessarily the final product. So there probably are, and I think I noticed a few firmware issues, or it's not like going to be the best quality. But if you enjoy the quality that you see that I created with it, hopefully that means you should be excited, because then when they launch the real one, right, it should only be better. That would be the hope. But this is how I was filming. Whoops. Let me zoom out a bit. So it's a lot of this kind of stuff, right? So at times I was filming with, so I really didn't use the external monitor except for when I needed to like get some behind the scenes of like showing what it looks like on the camera for my product review. Otherwise, I really didn't need any part of the small rig or like the cage. It was just me shooting with the camera, the lens, ND filters, which I usually use from Polar Pro. So I have a bunch of the Polar Pro variable ND filters, which are a necessity for filmmakers, I would say. And then that's it. So outside of that, like if it wasn't for the fact that I needed to kind of record a few things with the Atomos, like the external monitor, to show whatever's happening for a product review, I wouldn't need any of this. And then occasionally I was shooting with the shotgun mic, which is also provided by Nikon, and it was excellent. I was a big fan of that shotgun mic, which we'll get into as well, because I think I'll be including it into my product review because it ended up being such a cool piece of tech. And it's so, you barely, you know, I mean, it kind of looks big here, but it's really small compared to like when you think of like those shotgun mics that you might normally use. This thing is so much more minimal in its size, and it was jam-packed, and you'll see the audio quality. In my opinion, it was actually really good. So Nico, you said, oh wait, sorry, Nico, you said I have to study, see you tomorrow. Well, thank you for being here, Nico. Thank you. You were the first one in the chat, so I appreciate you commenting earlier. But yes, enjoy, study well. F Mead, just let your personality shine through. Your energy will draw people to you. Hells yes. I've been told I have a lot of energy, right? I have enough energy to talk 8 hours nonstop. So yes, we'll use that to our advantage. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's good to know that people think I have a personality. There would be no, actually, you can critique my filmmaking skills. You can critique my photography, my photo editing, video editing, all of that. But if you were to give me a critique where you're like, yo, this guy, his film, imagine a comment someone puts, or it's like, yo, this guy's film techniques were excellent. I just wish he had more of a personality. Oh my God. I think that's like a dagger to the heart, more than anything. So thank you very much. Thank you for saying that. Hopefully I didn't just encourage someone to leave a comment like that, because geez. Eric, you said, if there's something I've struggled with that has held me back, is storytelling. How do you handle that? Do you have some recommendations I could watch to help? Yeah, that's a tough one, because I'm also learning right now how to be a storyteller. And so I won't necessarily have the best answers. Some of it is really, honestly, there is no cheat code. It's just like I watch a lot of movies, TV shows. Back in the day, so I mean, reading was like my first passion in life. These days, I just don't have the time to multitask and like actually read a physical book. I don't even have time sometimes to like listen to audiobooks anymore, unfortunately. But honestly, it just comes down to consume a lot of stories. And so YouTube is your best friend for that. Watch a lot of videos that breaks down storytelling. There are key techniques that a lot of the biggest cinematographers, directors, people will use for telling stories properly. So I think it's good to consume as much of those videos as possible. But even without that, I think some things that I do, not always, but I like to keep a running list. Let's say I'm watching a new movie. Let's say it's I don't know what just came out. Anyway, okay, my favorite movie right now, which is Everything Everywhere All at Once. So as I'm watching a movie like this, and there's going to be moments where like, boom, there's an emotional hit. It could be something happens in a scene that makes you feel like this is so memorable. And what was it? I'll make sure to keep a note. So I have a whole digital notes that I keep track of like some of my favorite scenes in movies and TV shows, and I'll keep a bullet pointed list of those moments, and I'll just write down exactly what it was in that moment. And it could be everything from like the music hits it a certain way. It was the way that they panned over from this subject to the next one. It was this kind of a reveal in the story of a character that you didn't know this detail, and then they just show it at this moment. So anyways, I'll keep track of any of those moments without knowing why. It's just more saying, I know this moment was emotional to me. Let's keep track of it. And then over time, you have a running list, so maybe you'll recognize some patterns in there. Yeah, so keep, like, when you watch movies and TV shows or read books, watch with a bit of intention, or with intent is what I mean. So don't just watch the movie, try watching it, but then like keeping an eye out for like, oh, how did this person take this shot? Like, how did they film this moment? Especially as I'm getting more into filmmaking or like videography, I'm like actually paying attention now to like, wait a second, how come in The Bear, which is a show that I really loved watching, why is it that they were shooting in a certain way where it felt like they were shooting at like the lowest aperture possible? It was like, it felt like they were always shooting at f1.2 or something. And it was like the eye was not in focus oftentimes in these close-up shots. So then like you're just keeping track of all these things and trying to understand why would they do that intentionally, right? Because clearly these are professionals. So then trying to understand like why would they intentionally lose focus on these shots, or why did they shoot with this lens? Why is the film looking shaky for these moments? Or yeah, like any of that is like watch with intent and then like actually take notes of it. And so that I think does help. It might not always help with storytelling, but it'll at the very least help you with like some of the filmmaking process. Another help is ChatGPT. So like no jokes, I oftentimes will utilize ChatGPT to help me out. So utilize AI to your advantage, right? It's not going anywhere, and ChatGPT has all the knowledge of the world in its fingertips. So even when it comes to like, okay, here's my thought process. I would like to make a product review, or I use it quite significantly for my documentary. Let me see. Can I actually show that right now? I don't have it ready, but like I'll show you guys like the scripting. Actually, let me do that now. 1 second. Let's open up my Notion. Logging in. Okay. So I'm just sharing my screen real quick. You guys probably can't read it too much because I have to zoom in a bit. But basically, when I was starting to work on the documentary, I literally had to just transcribe all of the interviews that I did. And then I literally had to write down all of the different dialogue. And then as I wrote down all the dialogue, then I had to start figuring out, like, can I categorize some of the interviews and the speeches that people provided that I recorded into different sections. So like it was a long ass process. I lost a lot of hours of sleep just breaking down, because I had over like maybe 1 to 2 hours of like recorded interviews. And so I had to like break it all down. And so here, basically what you're seeing here was my attempt to like take all the key phrases that he stated and then start to put it into key sections. So for instance, there's a line here where it says, I had to spend a lot of time with her during her post-operative care, and we didn't want to have to anesthetize her every time we gave her medication. So I had to get a relationship with her so that I could give her medicine orally. It took maybe around 2 weeks, but of spending 3-4 hours with her every day. This was in reference to how he had to treat one of the chimpanzees after he performed surgery on the chimpanzee. And so then he's giving a little bit more in depth of like the kind of care that he had to provide with her afterwards. So then after I've transcribed that part of the interview, then I was putting in what was the topic. So this was about Dr. Rakundo talking about how he built a bond with Billy the chimp over time. Yeah, I literally had to spend time going through each of these and then trying to figure out over time as I filtered through them, what are some of the key lines that I think have the most weight. And then I had to do version and iteration after iteration until I got it to like the final script. So I don't know if this is the final script, but I essentially finally filtered it into the shortest version, the compressed one. So then here I'm actually starting to write down like, okay, here's the intro with the opening title, black screen, sound of chimps, Jane Goodall quote coming in saying we are part of the animal kingdom and not separate from it. Then I'm going to show a footage of the mother chimp with the baby on her back in the forest walking towards the camera as the camera moves backwards to keep pace, wide angle view in slow motion. And then here's where I said, where I combined a lot of the dialogue that I recorded from Dr. Rakundo. When a chimp approaches you, stay humble, stay calm, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, I basically got it to this point, but I would then feed this into ChatGPT to ask ChatGPT to verify. Sometimes if I didn't have an idea, I would ask for ideas, or if this is my idea, I would ask for ChatGPT to review and be like, what do you think? So here I'm thinking like I'd start with this intro, I would have this dialogue and have these kind of scenes show up. And then ChatGPT might tell me like, oh, you know what? It's not bad. However, if you're trying to get this inside of 5 minutes, you do need to chop a few things. So here are the weakest points. Or here's, if you change up the dialogue, so you start by saying this sentence and then the next sentence, it would actually make a lot more sense. So yeah, things like that. I just rely on ChatGPT to help me out because I'm just one man, right? This is just me. I'm filming everything. I'm shooting everything myself. I'm editing by myself. So as part of that, I need as much help as I can. And I don't have, unfortunately, a script writer that I can pay or who is helping me out. So yeah, anyways, these are a little bit of the behind the scenes. But yeah, there's no shortcut to this. It really is just like you just have to watch a lot of stories, figure out what kind of stories resonates with you the most. Like, what is it about when you watch a story that makes you say, this is my favorite movie or my favorite show or whatever? And then I started consuming a lot of short films in preparation for this short film. So then I'm trying to figure out, how do people tell a story in so little time? So if someone only has 3 minutes, if they only have 5 minutes or 10 minutes, how exactly did they tell a full story start to finish in such a compressed time? And then as I was watching as much of that, I would take notes and try to figure out what are some of the similarities that I see of what people use. Oh wait, let me see if I can show you inspirations. Maybe it's in here. Okay, here's an example, right? So I had to hold notes where I was taking notes about like different ways that I could start my film, right? So opening title shot. So I was starting to write down some examples. One, I could have the title appear in the center. I could have the title appear on a black screen, which is essentially what we ended up doing. I saw a version from a video I was watching called "I Shot a Campaign for the North Face" from a YouTuber, T.O. Crawford. And if I can zoom in a bit, just to make it a bit more obvious for you guys, I wrote here, tiny text animated center mid to right. So this was an example from a YouTuber who created a video, very cinematic video, but like he had the title of the video show up off to the right. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen an example like that before. So I took a screenshot and then I kept this in my notes. I ended up not using this but like, it was good inspiration. And then, for instance, I saw a short documentary called The Birdwatchers, award-winning nature documentary. And in this video, it starts with a quote. And it has the quote kind of in the middle here with the quote and then the person in italics. So then I took a screenshot of this because I was like, oh, interesting. Maybe I should start with the quote from Jane Goodall, because Jane Goodall is very famous in the chimpanzee world. And so maybe it could be a nice if I can find a nice quote from her and she's associated with the Chimp Island Sanctuary, that could be a nice way to start the video. And that's ultimately what we ended up doing, right? So if you look at our final product, we started off with this quote. And then here, this is my own kind of creative process. I ended up creating the quote in this kind of 3-line format where I just had the animal kingdom bolded and then the beginning part of the quote and the ending part of the quote coming off to the left and the right. And so I felt like it balanced out the quote quite nicely, and we stuck with it. But that was like a creative decision. It wasn't necessarily like following any guidelines. Yeah, and then I was seeing a bunch of examples where they have the title, but they do it very minimally. So it was like a tiny title, simple font, just centered in the shot. Or just, again, same thing, having a black screen, but then it kind of has some effects built in, so it zooms in a bit, or the font gets a bit larger over time. Or just do a simple title on the black screen, no fades or motion. So yeah, I'm basically just sharing. I'm probably oversharing, but I'm just sharing, like, as I was researching, I would try to find good examples from other filmmakers, other YouTubers, other whomever, and then capture what I thought was really good, and that would ultimately turn into something I could potentially use. And most of these I ended up not using, right? But at the very least, there is no shortcut. It just requires you to have to capture as much of this and then see what you end up with. So very, very long answer to your question, Eric. But yeah, this is part of the process. It's intentionally a long answer. I do want to spend more time, probably not today, but I do want to spend time where I actually break down yeah, how did I end up with the final script, right? So even here, you're seeing that I boiled down, I distilled all like over an hour of Dr. Rakundo's interview to some of the key lines. And then you can see even there, like I ended up cutting a bunch. So the things here in white were examples of like some of the text that I thought I would use in the final script, but then ultimately I didn't have time or I cut it out. So here's a line towards the end of the video in the one of the final scenes about the future. And also, Eric, this is one of the things I was doing as part of the story. Then I was also trying to think through like, okay, clearly the easiest is to say there's a scene 1, which is the opening. So how do I create like an opening trailer or an opening hook? What is the message that's told there that's a bit more like, it's got to be inspiring, but it's also got to be like awe-inspiring, right? It's got to be a hook to keep people interested. Then the scene 2, which was like, okay, now I'm providing context. Where are we? We're on this island. Let's show shots of the island, the ambience, the birds, the lizards, the forest. What else is out there? Then scene 3 was when we start kicking into Dr. Rakundo. So we actually finally show Dr. Rakundo, not just hearing his voice. And then let's talk about the mission of the sanctuary. So now I'm actually talking about what is the purpose of the sanctuary? Why are we watching this video? And introducing the character, Dr. Rakundo, and then introducing the sanctuary, which is the key other aspect to this. So what is their vision? Our vision is to secure chimpanzees in their natural habitats and provide optimum captive care for those that cannot survive in the wild. Cool. Now we've set up front, why should we care? Who are we following? What is their purpose? And then in the middle, so the next scene was kind of like breaking down the chimpanzees. So here I was able to start taking some of the lines that he said about, very, very expositional. We have 55 chimpanzees. The island is 100 acres. Here's how it's being utilized. And here's the routine of the chimps. So I like that's like where we start breaking into what about the chimps? And then talking about the challenges. So then I have a bit of a change in the music where now it's getting a little bit darker in tone because now I'm talking about the issues that the chimpanzees face. Again, why is the sanctuary there? It's because a lot of these chimps had to be rescued. What did they have to be rescued from? Well, a lot of trauma, right? Everything from pet trade to like the meat trade to like human conflict and shrinking habitat. So then now we're getting into the meat of like, what is the issue? What is the challenge? What is the problem of the story? And then towards the end and then I give an example of one of the rescue chimps. So I'm trying to add a little bit of a hopeful touch to the story now where I'm saying like, well, let's personalize it. So it's not just at a macro level of like, here's how chimps are becoming extinct. At a micro level now, zooming in, let's hear an individual story of Billy, the chimpanzee. And then I had some shots of Dr. Rakundo bonding with the chimp. So hopefully this scene was meant to now create emotional connection and like a nice emotional touch between the wild and humanity. So we're seeing them connecting together. So now it's getting a bit more positive and hopeful. And then the final scene is called The Future. So this is, again, where I wanted to leave with some key messages about here's the work that we're doing, here's what we hope for in the future, leaving on a very hopeful note, and then hopefully like an inspiring note. And so then, yeah, we had to make sure that the final line that I got Dr. Rakundo to say really felt like something that, has a nice finale to it. So he says, we rescue chimps to remember how to be human. Ngamba Island is a second chance that makes the first one possible. We cannot change their past. We can change what comes next. So boom, there we go. Ends on the future note. Yeah, and there we go. So that's essentially how we did our storytelling. And I will say, yet again, I am so new to this world that I'm sure there's like way, way better ways to do storytelling. Like there's probably actual techniques and like, ways that makes it simple. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing it my way, very crudely. But we ultimately got to our final product. So there you go. All right. Anyways, so that's the storytelling side. Eric, you said, thank you for this breakdown. It has helped me a lot. Hells yeah. Well, I'm glad that it's helpful. Because to me, I'm just rambling. But as much as I can share of my thought process, I'm here for that. But yeah, otherwise, what we're going to do for the remainder of our stream is I am going to share a lot of these behind the scenes because right now I'm working on the next product review, as we said. So as part of that, I need to look through some of the footages that I have to see like, what can I use to talk about some of the features. For instance, one of the features I'm going to mention is, of course, the 4-inch monitor screen, right? This monitor display, which is one of the biggest selling points of this camera is the fact that compared to the competition, which I think most of them use like a 3-inch monitor, but then like once you factor in all the bezels and things like that, it ends up being much smaller. So then the problem becomes that you need an external monitor if you want to be able to see what you're filming. And seeing what you film is so much more important, I think, in film, because there's so much motion happening and you're moving and things like that. So a lot more to deal with. However, with this 4-inch screen, now what they're trying to say is that you don't even need an external monitor. For me personally, I felt that that was very true. I had never used the external monitor except for when I had to just record my screen for my product review. So having this large screen was amazing. So maybe when I talk about the 4-inch monitor, I could use some of these shots as like the B-roll to like just be like, yeah, one of the best features was this 4-inch monitor, blah, 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 blah. And then you can see how I used it with this close-up shot. So I think stuff like that. What's up, L Thing? Is that the Nikon red dot sight? I've never heard of the red dot sight. Are you talking? Okay, so this is the, of course, this is that ZR camera that I've been talking about for the past few days. So this is the ZR, and then above it is one of their new shotgun mics. It's the is it ME D10 or something? Let me see. Yeah, the shotgun mic ME D10. So yeah, it's a shotgun mic. Yeah, it's not like something for like a focus or anything like that. It's a shotgun mic that I was also testing out. Now, this was not like requested of me. Like, obviously they want me to test the ZR, but as part of that, they did have this shotgun mic that they were testing out, or I could test out as well. And it was an excellent microphone. I really did enjoy it. And now with this camera, it's got a digital shoe mount, so you don't need any cables or wires. You literally just slot that in, and then it, you know, magically connects with the camera. And because it's a 32-bit float camera, I never have to worry about setting the audio levels. I don't have to worry about clipping. And I think in my review, I should be able to have some really good examples, or hopefully compelling examples, because we filmed a lot with chimpanzees who would screech right into the camera at random times. So you'd be able to, I have really good examples where I can show how the audio level was really good. Now, one thing I was a bit annoying is that we couldn't find the dead cat to put onto the mic for the wind sound. We only found it on the very last day of the trip. So unfortunately, some of the audio is not going to be usable just because you'll hear the wind noise coming through at times. But yeah, it is what it is. Someone yesterday had asked, like, how did I film this shot? I wish I had this behind the scenes ready to show to that person. But yeah, this is how I shot this, because essentially we had this long tunnel that they come from. And then I was just in my safe little spot over here. And so you can see it's like an L shape. So they come in from the forest, they go through this long tunnel to get to the rest of the facilities where they can spend the night if they choose to. They get extra feedings and nutrition and stuff like that, or inspections from the vets. But basically, as they would approach, I was just filming from here. It was really fun. And this was shot during like golden hour, so we had some really cool lighting situations. And of course, this was shot with the red codec. L, you said thought it was the Nikon DF-M1. I've never heard of that. It was not that. It is this beautiful shotgun mic. And we do have some examples I can show you. Oh yeah, here we go. This is what it looked like. So here I was just kind of crouched down here, just trying to film as they came up close. Okay, let me see if I can show you guys the audio versions. Here, I'll show a bit of this one. So in terms of the audio quality, let's hear a few of these. Again, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of wind noise as well baked into some of these files, but
So he's being restrained before doing that.
Why she's getting mad at him?
Because this one was yes.
And
hold on, Joanna. You know what? I think I put some over here that we can watch. Oh, here we go.
So okay, if you're like there, I can do it.
Yep.
But I don't want you to touch the wires.
Yeah.
Those are not natural behaviors.
Yeah. This is the feeding behavior.
Yeah.
So you end up getting like all kinds of random noises, soft, like obviously the quiet sounds, and then all of a sudden you get the screeching.
Natasha. Tam Natasha. Sometimes I like it when it looks like a kiss, like they do mouth to mouth.
Is she feeding?
No. Yes, she's the one who breastfeeds, but now, well,
But the kid is so big now, no?
yeah, so big. She's trying to win.
Mm-mm-mm. Here we go. Yeah, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. I think the best examples maybe I can show was from the interviews. Oh, and then also, yeah, technically this is the best one. Let's see. On our new NZR. I forgot to put the feature I just saw. I don't know. Okay, so I forget which one this is. Another feature I just saw. I don't know, again, if these are the record button that says 3, 2, 1. It will actually... Alright, so the thing I wanted to test though is right now, this is in front mode, focus mode on the shotgun mic. I'm going to switch this now to the all mode. So now it's on all, so I don't know if that means it should be capturing a bit more ambient sound besides just whatever's in front of the camera. This is all the shotgun mics. So you guys be the judge if the sound quality has changed at all. And then we're going to do one final thing. Let's go over to this rear mode. So now it should be picking up on the rear side if my logic, if my deduction skills are anything. But since we have it on rear, I'm assuming it will be focusing more of the sound from the back side of the mic. Let me jump. I'm going to jump back to front mode. And now we were in focus. Let's go ahead and choose pure. So there's like two kind of switches you can play around with. So I think that pure mode is technically what I was supposed to be using whenever there's a subject talking, or I think it isolates out the human voice. So I wish I knew that in advance, because I not that it mattered, because for the interviews I was filming with a DJI mic too, with the lav mic attached. But it would have been nice if I had the proper settings. I'll show you an example as well. And pure. All of this so far was on focus mode. Now we are on pure mode. Same thing. Let me switch over to the all mode. So now this is all mode, pure mode. The all pure mode, let's just say. So you guys tell me. Okay, let's see. I know I have an example somewhere in one of these. It's in one of these guys. I think it was on the 24 frames. Yeah, okay. So I think this is an example. So I shot this with the shotgun mic as well, and I was pretty far because I'm using an 85mm f1.2 lens. Yeah, I was shooting with 85mm, and I was pretty far back so I can get a bit of the background and stuff like that. She had a lav mic and everything, but I wanted to test the shotgun at the same time. Again, keep in mind I didn't have the freaking dead cat, so you'll hear the wind sound. But this ended up being pretty good. Like, it picked up her voice really well. I was just in the wrong mode. So then you can end up hearing the sounds of the water as it's like, hitting the shoreline close to me.
I study veterinary medicine, and for that I have to do research. And I decided to go to Ngamba Island for that, because I was looking for a sanctuary where I could work with wildlife, but I really wanted to find a sanctuary that puts animal welfare first as the top priority. and not visitors or money or researchers like me. And this place really ticked those boxes, and yeah, that's why I decided to go here, and I love it here. I've been here for a month now. I'm staying for one more month, and so far it's been amazing. And the research that I done, a heavy one, that was after their mother is killed. But Aikaru's mother was killed by poachers, and then Aikaru was still a little baby, but she was still holding on to the mother, so she wouldn't let go. Then the poachers made a fire and threw the mother's body in it so that she would have to let go. And that one really stuck with me. I thought that was quite a tough one, and it made it so clear. We are here on this earth with the task, I think, to take care of everyone.
Yeah. So anyways, I think the audio is excellent. And again, I think for me, not that they necessarily need a review about it, but I figured like with this shotgun mic and the ZR camera, I really don't feel like for my needs personally, I don't think I would ever need to shoot with a bunch of other things, right? Because I am very much, what I care about is travel filmmaking, or I'm trying to chase stories based around the world, right? So wherever I'm going to, hopefully we can find those really interesting stories, do a mix of like nature, wildlife, people, and put it all together. And as someone that does that kind of stuff, I don't necessarily travel with a crazy amount of rigs and gear and accessories. I just need excellent quality body with some excellent quality lenses, and then let me do the rest, right? And having excellent quality audio. So if I have this microphone that's very tiny, fits on, and there's no EVF on the camera, so you save some space on the top side, so then where that fits, it doesn't really take up too much space. And then boom, it's like 630 grams, I think, is the weight of this camera. It's crazy. L thing, he says, sounds nice, but she's quiet. Yeah. She was very, very quiet, and I was very, very far. But again, since I shot this in 32-bit float, technically, I can just lift up the audio even more. So let's see.
Ngamba Island for that.
Now the issue though is because I was in the wrong mode on the shotgun mic, you're catching a lot of the sounds of the waves kicking in, and I mean I can't isolate that out of the voice. I mean maybe there's a way to do that. Actually, you know what? I am curious. I wonder if the noise reduction built into DaVinci could actually do a decent job with that. I have no idea.
Because I was looking for a sanctuary where I could work with wildlife, but I really wanted to find a sanctuary that puts animal welfare first as the top priority, and not visitors or...
I think it's like okay, but I imagine, not that I have much experience with audio stuff, but I imagine if you've got like, it's not separated onto a separate track. If it's on the same track and you're getting overlapping sounds, like, good luck trying to isolate that, is my guess. Ellie said that, well, that isn't because you got 32-bit float. That's just digital post. What is post Gale? Educate me. I don't know what the digital post Gale is. But yeah, I'm assuming if you're referring to the same thing I think I was just talking about, yeah, it's like the fact that both audio, I was capturing both things at once, so I don't think I can separate it. But as far as like, I think the shotgun mic did pretty well. It did pretty good for the fact that I was really far away from her, and it captured her voice pretty well. It's just, yeah, the ambient sound kicked in a little bit too loud. Post gain, gotcha. Yeah. Oh yeah. I see what you're saying. Like if I put this in neutral, or if I put it back to 0, I'm curious. 0. Yeah, then it was super quiet. I did have to manually lift up the thing, but I think that was also a bit of user error, as I mentioned, because I was in the wrong modes. But yeah. Kristen, you said I almost didn't make it. Clicked yesterday's live. Nice. Well, listen, nothing wrong with rewatching my my past streams. I appreciate any watch on the YouTube side for sure. Welcome, Kristen. Yeah, we're on day 50. So thank you for making it here on the 50th day of my live streaming. It is a short stream, so I'm gonna hang out with some friends. We're gonna be celebrating the fact that I made 50 days of streaming. Just kidding, obviously, as if they care about that. But yeah, I'm catching up with a few friends. Someone's in town, so yeah, we'll grab some drinks. And I was saying it's going to be fun because I can be social again. Yeah. with friends at the very least. I was on this trip, so I was chatting with people there, but like, yeah, different thing. That was a work related stuff. So it'd be good to finally talk to people and remember what that's like to have fun, grab drinks, you know? So anyways, what we're doing is we're just kind of going through some of the footages. I've also loaded in a bunch of the footages from the behind the scenes. So some of the shots that I took with the Atomos, that I might be able to use in the product review that we're going to make. But then also just to, let's go through some of these. So I'm just going to start picking out some of the shots that I think I want to use for our final product. I know there are some shots here that really shows the dynamic range. Like I was shooting a few shots of the birds flying directly against the sky, and I just got to find the clips. Because to me, I was like, okay, with my limited experience shooting with like the Z9, Z6 III, I don't have a lot of experience with like the crazy dynamic range. And this camera, they are touting 15 plus stops of dynamic range. And whatever that really means, to me personally, in terms of what I used to shoot with and shooting with this, I did feel noticeably a huge difference in the dynamic range. Where like when I shoot with the Z9 or Z6 III or Z8, there'd be moments like this where I almost feel certain that I wouldn't have been able to get nice colors, or it would have been blown out in the highlights or something. But in this situation, like I felt like it was really tough for me to get shots that were, you know, clipping on, like it was like clipping in the highlights, let's say, or just being too dark. I felt like it did a really good job. The times when obviously it clips, that was me really just like playing around with different settings because I was just trying to stress test the camera. But generally speaking, I was like really impressed, really impressed with it. Let me see if I can find some of the shots. Yes, F Mead, aka Yogi. Kristen, you said, yeah, I'm glad that you'll be, I had to be here on day 50. Yes, thank you for being here. I'm glad you will be around other human beings without a screen in between. Yes. I think too many of us are, including myself, we're a little bit too screen and computer. Our world revolves around technology, and it's kind of nice to separate yourself from that, for sure. Okay, let's see. Is this one of the shots? Let's see. Let me just do a brief. Let's turn down the audio there. It might be one of those, but that was too quick of a shot. I thought I know I have some examples where you really... Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's because I also need to color grade all these. Bill Brasky, how does this compare with the FX3? Do you think it's better to wait to purchase an FX3 now in 2025? Well, hello, firstly, thank you very much for being here, Bill Brasky. I'm trying to think. I don't believe I've seen your name pop up in the chat before. So if this is your first time here, well, thank you for being here and for being on the stream. And thanks for the question. So how does this compare with the FX3? I'm going to be honest with you. I've never used the FX3, and my knowledge when it comes to filmmaking and all of that is quite limited. I'm even shocked that Nikon included me in their pre-launch testing of the camera, because like, you know, what the heck, you know, it's like me, I literally don't know many of the cinematography terms. I learned what a false color IRE was like maybe a week before I filmed with this camera. So let me just put that caveat in there. I am an aspiring filmmaker, but I have no background knowledge. It's just something that I'm self-teaching myself, and just from me traveling the world and trying to capture what I can. But to your question, how does it compare? First thing I'll do is maybe I'll put in a link again into the chat, because the best way for me to share, you know, if it's good or not, is let me share my video. So it's obviously for selfish reasons as well, but hopefully this is some good way for you to see quality. So this is a film that I put together using the ZR from this trip that I'm showing right now, the behind the scenes. And so all of it was shot with the ZR. And I stand by the ZR as being something that really I feel like it's hitting there's a part in the market where you've got the travel vlogging style cameras, and then you've got like the really, really high-end professional cinematic cameras. And let's put FX3 towards the tail end of that kind of spectrum, maybe, or somewhere on that. I feel like this thing is fitting right in the middle sweet spot, where it's got so many of the cinematic, like professional cinematic features, but at a price point of, you know, a consumer model, right? It's a $2,200 body, and I feel like it packs such a big punch. It's got that red codec, so I think that's one of the big things was people wanted to see, once Nikon acquired red, what does that actually mean? Like, will they actually do a good job when it comes to this kind of like cinematic style cameras? And so one, you're able to shoot in the red cinematic, the red codec. It's a 12-bit codec, but to me, like, I think it's fantastic. I'm having, and like, even I was mentioning earlier, like, I never really seem to struggle much when it comes to the dynamic range, even with the types of shoots that I do, where I could be shooting directly against the sun out of nowhere, or tracking a bird throughout the sky, or shooting in like low light situations. It was fantastic. Big fan of like the quality of the shots that I got. It's got 32-bit float, so again, the fact that I don't need to attach a microphone or anything else to this camera, that's a fantastic thing for someone like me. I do usually do like travel filmmaking is kind of the direction I'm going towards. So the less equipment I can attach to this camera, the better. It's got like, I think 7.5 or something IBIS stabilization, so which was good enough in my opinion to like capture a lot of different moments, including the one I keep talking about, but I ultimately used in our final. It's like literally the very beginning of my video, where you see the whole shot of the chimpanzee. And this was me walking backwards, hand holding the camera with a 35mm lens. And obviously I applied some stabilization through DaVinci, but it ended up being super smooth. So honestly, like, the fact that I'm able to get the entire footage, the entire film, without ever needing a gimbal, to me is like exactly the kind of camera I was hoping for. So it gives me that film quality, but again, in a very compact body. But yeah, if you tune in, if you watch some of the streams, if you watch my 5-minute documentary, I hope it'll give you some sense of whether or not this camera's for you. I would never necessarily say, because I can't say for a fact. I've never used the FX3. The anecdotal knowledge that I've heard is that this thing very much is trying to punch above its weight, where it's trying to show you, like, it's got some features that the FX3 doesn't have. It gives you the ability to shoot very cinematic quality. It's got that red codec built in now. It's got the autofocus, which I believe the red cameras don't have, which I'm learning about now. But it's at such an affordable price point, and apparently it does also work with Sony lenses. So there is like an adapter to allow for you to, if you're switching from Sony to Nikon, let's say, you can do that and use your Sony lenses as well. But yeah, there's a lot of things. There's some people in the chat in the past few days who way more knowledgeable about like the existing cinema cameras out there. And but yeah, it just comes down to like, are you willing to spend $3,000 to $4,000 versus low 2,000? And also, are you a Nikon shooter? That kind of stuff too. I'm very much a Nikon shooter, so I'm very, very happy with this. Hello, Siegfried. Welcome. It's been some time. It's been a minute since I think I've seen you on the chat. I think actually it's been long enough, because basically after day 46 of my live streaming nonstop, I had to take 2 weeks off, and we took the 2 weeks because I was working on this project. So we were able to travel and shoot a whole short film documentary using the new Nikon ZR. We only had it for a few days, and then I spent a lot of time just editing all of this and putting it together. But yeah, so I was also away for the past couple of weeks. I've been back in the past few days, and the goal is to start streaming again every single day. And yeah, just catching up on some of the work that I'm doing. But yeah, good to see you on here again, Siegfried. You said, yeah, I've been busy, but I did watch your short documentary with the Nikon. It's so good, man. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. Make sure to leave a comment, or make sure to hit that like button on that video. If you're not subscribed, anyone, make sure to subscribe as well. I appreciate all of that. But I am very, very proud of that short film. And it was my first time ever doing a short film style anything, like a documentary style. So I joked about this before, but yeah, it was probably not the smartest decision to try something new for the first time. Yeah, trying something like this for the first time when testing out a high-profile camera, product and all that. Because there's so much there's a world where someone like me never has done a documentary before. If I try to be ambitious and do that without having any experience or knowledge, it could turn out really bad, right? Thankfully, I think it turned out really well, but that was a big gamble. I could have done something that was a bit more in my wheelhouse, but we decided to go big. Let's try something new. And the whole point was like, can this camera actually elevate me to the next level? Can it actually make me feel like, as someone who's never made a documentary, as someone who's never studied cinematography or anything like that, could I actually trick people into thinking that I am a filmmaker? And I feel like it did that. I think it did a really good job with that. And that's essentially the angle that I'm going to be making my product review about. Siegfried, you said, what lenses were you on when you were shooting with that? I shot with a bunch of lenses. Maybe I'll jump over to some of the behind the scenes. So for instance, here I was shooting with the 400mm f4.5. What else? I had the 50mm f1.2. Actually, you know what? First thing I'll do is, let me use this chance to promote my gear. If you like to see all the gear that I normally use, it's here. Now, I borrowed quite a bit of lenses from Nikon so that I could do the shoot properly. So they let me loan a few lenses, like the 400 4.5. I believe this is the 400 4.5L. Or are you saying that's the 28 135? Oh, you might be right. I barely used the 28 1.5, 28 to 135. Oh, wait, hold on. I think this is the 4.5. One second. Yeah, actually, I think I'm pretty sure this is the 400 4.5 because I use that way more often. So the chance of me just hopping onto one of these BTS and I'm on the 28 to 135. I think this is the 400 f4.5 because I'm also on that 4.5 aperture. But yes, as a reminder, yeah, you did mention, yeah, I was shooting. So there's quite a number of ones. I had the 400mm f4.5 handheld, yes, but this is not. Oh, by the way, I do handhold my 400 2.8. Not to not to humble brag, but I do get some pretty stable shots with that handheld. But then it drains all your energy doing that. This one is much smaller. It was more compact, which is why we brought this one. I didn't think that I would need a 400. I was assuming it was like a sanctuary that maybe we'll just get a lot of close-ups. The 400 ended up being a perfect lens though for this. So I had the 400 4.5. I had the one that Elle just mentioned, the 28 135 PZ f4 lens. I had the 135 f1.8 plena lens, the 85mm f1.2 lens, a 50 1.2 which I barely used, the 35mm f1.2, which is the one I kept mentioning, is the one I used for my hero shot of the chimpanzee walking in front of the camera. And I also had the 20mm f1.8, but I only used that for like a selfie when I was testing the audio in selfie mode. The main ones I used though were the 400 4.5, which you see here, and the 85 1.2. And then for the really cool shot, one of the lenses I forgot to mention, but for that really cool shot where, let's get to it. Where are you? This shot. Yeah, so this whole scene here, this one I shot with the 7200 f2.8. In hindsight, I kind of wish I had shot with the 135 or the 400 because like I used the 7200 because I assumed I need to start zooming out when the chimps get closer to me. But the problem is the more I zoom out towards like the 70mm focal length, the more the cage, like that, I say cage, but like those steel bars become visible on the shot. So whereas if I shot in a more like telephoto distance, you would just like either it gets compressed out or it's just not in the footage. So I think it would have been better if I just stuck to a single focal length and just shot the whole thing for that. But yeah, there was let me show that again. Yeah, so some of these behind the scenes. So you'll see this one was the 400 4.5. Yeah. Siegfried, you said, sheesh, if you're ever looking for an assistant, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, haha. Listen, man, always, here's my ambition. And I do feel so excited because I'm happy with how this turned out. I'm very, very grateful to Nikon Now they're not paying me to say any of these things, but I am obviously very grateful for the relationship I've had with them, and again for the opportunity. They could have chosen anyone to test out this product. They chose someone like me. I barely have a YouTube following. I have a modest Instagram account. I don't do product reviews, right? We're starting to get there, but like I haven't like necessarily done these kind of things. And I'm not a professional cinematographer. So I'm really grateful that they gave me this opportunity. And so I did put a lot of thought, and I made sure, like, I want to make sure I do an excellent job with whatever the final product is, so that they'll want to work with me in the future. But yeah, I'm happy with how this turned out, and I do hope that this means I'm one step closer to having a more fleshed out portfolio of like a body of work of things I've done in the film and the travel space. And so I'm hoping, even with this one, I did have someone reach out to me about like, oh, I should attend some film festival in France, I believe, next year, or like a documentary. I have to double check what he said, but I'm hoping that, yeah, I can start using this to, turn it into other opportunities. Maybe we can finally do like a pitch a project for like Nat Geo, right? Do an expedition or join an expedition. Or maybe we can pitch a project where, listen, I'm not talking much, maybe just a budget of like $10,000. If you give us a budget of $10,000, which then means I can hire a few people to join me as a travel crew, and then we're just going to be documenting a story for like 2 weeks. I don't know, maybe $50,000. Maybe that's more realistic, but just give me money. And here's my pitch. Here's my body of work. If you'll give us that money, then I can afford to do this trip, create this story, and yeah. So that is my ambition. Is I want to be able to do kind of like almost like a media production company, or like doing these kind of travel crew concepts. So I will definitely need assistance, or I'll need people to travel with me who are experts in like everything from like having a drone, like someone who's like a drone operator, someone who does photography, so someone who will focus on photography, having an extra film person who can capture behind the scenes, and also just be an extra videographer. Yeah. Siegfried, you said, actually, I've been wanting to ask you a question about your videos. Do you usually shoot 60 frames per second or 24? Because I've always shoot 60, but I keep hearing 24 is more cinematic. So, especially because I do a lot of wildlife, I tend to always shoot at a minimum of 60 frames. If I'm shooting wildlife and stuff, I like to shoot at least 60, if not 120. And if my camera allows for 240 frames per second, then yes, I'll shoot that as well. Although that can be cumbersome depending on the moment. Also, there's like all these technologies. I use a software called Topaz Video AI, which does a really, really good job of interpolating your video to slow it down even more. So anyways, I'll usually shoot 60 to 120. And then when I'm editing for my timelines for like my YouTube videos, even if I shot something at 60 frames and I don't want to slow it down, let's say it's like a normal footage of me, but I happen to shoot at 60 frames, then I will, in DaVinci, there is an ability to like re-render your file to essentially map it onto a 24 frames per second timeline without it looking jittery or looking weird and stuff like that. All of my YouTube videos so far, I tend to upload as a 24 frames per second timeline, or 24 frames per second video. Because like some of the footages I shoot, I do have to shoot at 24 frames just because of low light situations, or there's some flickering that's going on, so I adjust it to 24. So when I do a travel shoot, I end up collecting shots from everywhere. From I film some things at 24, some even at 25, some at 30 frames, some at 50 frames, some at 60 frames, 100 frames, 120 frames. So in some of my travels, I end up shooting like with all the frame rates that I have possible. So I just use the lowest common denominator, which is usually 24 frames. And then it also allows me to take some of the 60 and the 120 frame shots and slow it down to the maximum. So then, yeah, everything ends up being 24 frames. Watch out, Albert Lin, says Kristen. Yobel is coming for your job. Albert Lin, I've heard this. Wait, is Albert Lin... Is that the guy who does a bunch of film with like smartphones and stuff? Or let me double check here. Albert Lin. I don't know if wait, do I follow this guy? He's a TV host. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. I think I briefly saw something with him. Because I think I saw like a TV. Yeah, I think I saw a preview for whatever this is. And I was like, oh, dude, who's this Asian guy traveling the world being like a? I was like, because part of me was like, oh, I want to be the Asian. Oh my God, what's his name? How am I spacing on his name? Anthony Bourdain. So it sounds like there already is an Asian Anthony Bourdain. Damn it. Okay, whatever. But yes, we won't be able to take his job. But if we can do stuff like that, that'd be great, for sure. But thank you for that compliment. Yes, we're gonna get to that level. Hello, Daytor. Hello. Good to see you on here. Welcome to day 50. We've made it to 50 days of live streaming. So what a beautiful day to be streaming. We do need to end the stream in like probably 15 minutes or so because I need to head out shortly. But yes. Siegfried, you said, given your expertise, let me stop you right there. Without reading the rest of what you said, just remember, I have zero expertise. I have experience being myself, but not expertise. But anyways, given your expertise, I was planning to go to, I don't know how to pronounce that part of China, Chongqing, soon. And I want to shoot the city skyline aesthetic. What would you recommend best? Yo, that sounds cool. Wait, let me look this up. Is it Chongqing? Qing. Images. Give me some images. It's a vast mountainous... Oh, interesting. Okay, so for like these kind of cityscapes, honestly, it depends. I've done a number of like cityscapes, like when I was in Singapore, for instance. The obvious answer is you should be going with like a wide angle lens. However, it just depends because, for instance, in Singapore, there was like even like a moment like similar to this where you cross a bridge to get to another side that points at like the main city line. And at that distance, if you have a telephoto lens, you can end up with a cooler shot, right? Whereas with the wide angle, then it looks too tiny on the screen and all that. Let's see. Kristen, you said he does more archaeology. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's why he said Lost City or something, right? Siegfried, I just see you as someone I can learn from and look up to. Well, I appreciate that. No need to look up to me. But yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, let me think about this. If I was going to a city like this, what will I use to shoot the skyline? Even something like, I feel like in my travels, I ended up using like my 24 to 70 millimeter lens or the 7200 oftentimes for like even my cityscapes and stuff. Because like, you would put a tripod, you'd have the tripod, you're shooting at like a high aperture anyways, right? Because most likely you might be shooting at like an f8 or something like that. I believe f8 is considered like one of the more standard. I think that's like one of the apertures where they say you get like the least amount of distortion maybe, or like it's just the better one to get a lot of sharpness around the full image. But let's say you're shooting at like f8, so then having a prime lens doesn't necessarily provide you with much more, because you're on a tripod, so you're able to collect a lot of light. So if you shoot at like an f8, and then if you bring your like a zoom lens, then that way you don't have to worry about like I didn't know the city well enough, and apparently I needed a wider lens, or I needed a whatever other lens. Yeah, if you have like a 24-70 and a 7200, one of those ranges, and then put it at f8. If you have ND filters, I was like, before I started moving away from landscape and getting into like wildlife stuff, I was really enjoying shooting with filters, like a filter system. Get like a filter system, and then you can start doing those really long exposure shots. And especially on a day where there's like clouds and rain or whatever, and if you time it with the sunset, you end up getting those really cool shots where there's color all around the sky, or it's like silky smooth, and then everything else is tack sharp. Good morning, says Violet. Hello, Violet. I believe I've seen you on here before, so welcome back, Violets. Yes, I've been away from streaming for a while, but we've been streaming for the past 3 days, I think, and this is day 50. So we are officially 50 days into being a live streamer. So thank you for being here. We're just kind of reviewing a little bit of my latest travel. So this was my trip to Uganda, where I filmed with the new Nikon ZR. I'm making a product review video, and I have released a video onto my YouTube channel. It's a 5-minute short documentary that shows what I was able to create with this camera. I really like this camera a lot. I'm very excited for when it's out there in the public. I feel like this camera was designed for someone like me. I've said this before. I have it in my opening dialogue here. Congrats, you said. Thank you very much. And Siegfried, you said, I currently have a 24-105 and a 50 and planning to get a 35 before going there. Gotcha. I think the 35, I've only had a few moments where I got to shoot with the 35. I really like it, right? That whole chimp scene that I showed in the beginning, that was with the 35. So, yeah, I think that. For the cityscape though, I think your 24-105 is probably perfect. And then that way you can just adjust as you need to. Because more important than the focal length, I think, is just like positioning where you put yourself. Because sometimes when you're doing these cityscapes, you won't necessarily have a lot of freedom or flexibility to place your tripod somewhere. And then, yeah, try to do like the ND filter system. I had something called it was some weird like country wine type thing. Wine filter system. God, what was it called? It was like some kind of California, not actual wine. Damn it. Oh shoot, yeah, I just realized what I wrote. Wine filter system. No. It was like an ND filter system. And every time I bought this a long time ago. It's pretty expensive. It's sad because I don't use it anymore. But I remember always thinking it's like Wine Country. Oh yeah, Wine Country camera. Is this it? Yes. Okay. So, Siegfried, this is the filter system I used back in the day, back when I was doing a lot more like landscape shots with long exposure. It's a beautiful, beautiful filter system. Exceptionally expensive though, so keep that in mind. But any of those kind of like filter systems, if you search for them, it's really nice because then you're able to slot in a bunch of these filters, and then that way you can increase the strength of the ND, the neutral density. And they have some where you can see here, like it splits you can have some where like it's a gradient. So it's darker on the top versus the bottom. So that way you add a bit more of the dark ND effect on the sky where it's brighter and not affect too much of the foreground or the lower area where there's not as much brightness. But yeah, when you play around with these like ND, like these filter systems, then you can end up getting those really crazy, silky smooth shots. Very, very creative shots. L, you said you might want to look into Liam Wong. As far as I remember, he shoots on 35 prime only. Oh, that's cool. That's cool that he's made a name for himself shooting like that. Eric, you're asking, how often do you use gimbals? I rarely use gimbals. I have a gimbal, like a DJI RS4 Pro, I think it is, and I still haven't used it. It's out of the box. I just never ended up using it for any of my shoots. So almost everything you see, you'll see that it's either I'm using a tripod or a monopod when I had to do an interview. Otherwise, everything is just handheld. And you know, obviously everyone travels differently, or everyone shoots differently. As someone who is primarily a travel filmmaker, travel photographer, you're always in unpredictable situations, and you know, you don't know. Like the wildlife will approach you, the wildlife goes away. It's all so unpredictable that like if I used a gimbal, it would mean that I definitely need to stick to like a zoom lens. I would need something that like a 28-1 35, and then I might need a second body just because like shoot, you know, like I need to switch lenses real quick, but I don't have the right lens on, and then I gotta detach the lens, but then that means I have to recalibrate the camera most likely. It's just way too much work to set it up, and by the time you set it up or whatever, the moment's gone. So I think gimbals are great for like sets or when you have controlled environments, but as a traveler, it's a lot of weight for very limited payoff. But it depends on the project, right? And if you have the space for it, then yeah, bring it. If you have moments where you know for a fact you have a controlled environment, then yeah, I think it's good. But for me, everything I shot here was handheld. Siegfried said, I love his work. I have his book. Oh, wow. I grew up fantasizing work like those. Okay, I need to look up this guy then. Liam Wong. Liam Wong. Yo, that's pretty cool. He does all that kind of like nightscape stuff, right? He's a director and photographer. Nice. Capturing the beauty of night through photography. Oh, okay. The noir cyberpunk aesthetic. That's dope. That's really cool. Okay, nice. Yeah, that's really cool. If this is all his stuff, amazing. We want to get to that level, okay? That is the goal. We have to find our claim to fame, but then it'd be nice if we can get to a point where we have our style. If we've identified a style, and then that becomes something that people recognize you for, I think that's pretty cool. I don't think I have that necessarily right now. Maybe over time we'll finally figure out what that is. But you know what? Maybe my style will be walking backwards, hand holding your camera. That is my style. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, you know that Yobel Prize style? What is the Yobel Prize style? That's where you walk backwards while a subject is tracked without using a gimbal. Yeah. We'll call it that. I am very proud of this shot, so if you couldn't tell. So he has a book called Tokyo or After Dark. Nice. Okay. Interesting. Okay, guys, unfortunately, though, it is 6:30 p.m. over here, and I do need to head out to my engagement with some friends. Now, I hope this means you guys are excited for me because I am seeing daylight. Oh, shoot. Actually, no, the sun's set. Okay, I'm not seeing daylight, but I will be seeing people. I'm going to have human interactions, not just chimpanzees anymore or people I don't know. I'm going to see people I call friends, and it's been some time. So wish me luck that I'm going to... Yes, I'll be breathing fresh air. Yes, true. But wish me luck that I remember what it's like to talk to someone where they respond back to you and you hear their voice and not just visualize and see their chat response. Wish me luck on how to be a human again. Also, I've been watching Alien Earth, so I think I'm kind of getting a sense like, yo, I feel like I'm a robot these days. So I need to refresh my human filter, let's say. So wish me luck on this, guys. Starts mimicking monkey lingo. Yeah, I think at this point, I think I can mimic some of the screeching noises quite well. So, Siegfried said, yo, I've been planning to watch that. Watch what? Oh, Alien Earth is really good. Really good. I think I'm like 5 episodes in. And same thing. Eric. Oh, no, sorry, not was it Eric? Wait, hold on. Who was I talking to? Yeah, I think it was Eric. This is an example, like I was saying, like when you're asking how do you improve as a storyteller and all that kind of stuff. So same thing, as I'm watching this TV show Alien Earth, I am like keeping notes to myself of like what was like a moment that really hit with me, what resounded, like what gave me an emotional pull, and then let me track like what that moment was. Was it something about the music that played? Was it the film the technique that they used? Was it the lines that were stated? Whatever it is, right? Trying to find that, just being more intentional when you're watching things. Kristen, you say, enjoy your socialization. Congrats on the 50 days. Thank you very much. And then eye contact is important. Yeah. You know, I'm pretty good about that. Growing up, I was really bad about keeping eye contact when you're talking with people. As I become an adult, I tend to do that quite well. I actively try, and then now it's a bit more instinctive that when I'm talking to someone, I make the eye contact, but I notice a lot of the people I speak with never do that. Most people will never keep eye contact with you when you're talking to them. And I wonder why that is. There must be some psychology behind it, but it was one of those things where I recognized I wasn't doing it, and I felt that was not projecting confidence. And so then I was making an active effort to, when I speak to people, speak and look at them. And I think it's a good practice. So it helped me in my corporate job, because in my corporate job, I was constantly speaking with clients for over an hour as we're walking and talking and doing demos and stuff. So yeah, I think anytime you can do that, it's a good exercise. So hopefully I'll remind myself to do that, because with the chimpanzees that I spent several days with recently, you're not supposed to make eye contact, or you got to be careful depending, because obviously you don't want to come off as like threatening. So I'll try to be a human. My husband has that problem. What, the eye contact thing? let them know, you know what? And then always tell your husband, eyes up here, right? Just kidding. But anyways, yeah, I know what you're saying. It's a human thing, but I will try my best. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you for being here on day 50. Oh, there's my alarm telling me I need to get ready for this event. It's apparently an autism trait. Oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, there's another tick or check mark for things, or it's like maybe I'm experiencing all the symptoms of or these traits, right? Either way, thank you guys for being here. We'll be here on day 51 and so on until we hit day 100, and we'll continue from there. Thank you guys for being a part of this journey. It's been fun. It's been a bit rusty for me coming back, but obviously we're going to keep doing this. Just keep in mind, we're only going to be streaming probably like a few hours every day for the upcoming 1 week or so. But hopefully you guys are enjoying these shorter streams as well. All right.